At the start of this chapter, make sure to listen to Tiana and check Rhys's room for a letter from Lynette. Over the course of Berwick Saga, Lynette will send several letters to Rhys, which contains a lot of very useful items, from large sums of money to even Rhys's PRF equipment. Reading all of Lynette's letters is a requirement for her personal ending, and is a free resource boost, so make sure you don't miss any. For her first letter, Lynette will send us 20,000 denarii, a much needed injection of cash for the early game. Back to the story. Rhys is covertly contacted by Archbishop Labau and given a mission in confidence. Due to the ongoing war, the 14-year-old Apostle Sanasia is no longer safe in her temple and needs to be escorted into the city for protection. However, given the many undesirable personality traits of King Volscens, he would certainly force the underage apostle to marry him if he were to learn of her arrival. Apostle Sanasia must therefore be escorted into the city in total secrecy, and 3 high-ranking priests of the church are dispatched along with Rhys to convince her to leave. Just one problem. All 3 priests, Grimm, Orbel, and Sakhalin, are impossibly stubborn old men and can never be talked out of anything once their mind is set. When the road to the temple where Sanasia is hiding is split into 3 routes, all 3 priests decide that their respective routes are fastest, and decide to split off and each take their own road. And so begins a frustrating escort mission by the Sinnoh Knights in Chapter 3 Main, the 3 Priests. Objective: seize the temple, but only after all the priests have arrived. We're back to a main chapter map, which means that it's time to buckle up again and get ready to fight for your life. You will earn 1 tactics point for clearing the map, a 2nd point if at least 2 of the priests make it to the end, and the 3rd point will be awarded if all 3 priests make it to the end alive. But as you will soon see, each of the 3 routes are fraught with danger in their own way. Dividing your army is necessary here, and thanks to the side quests on this map, correct assignment of party members to their respective routes are crucial here. Pay attention in town to see who you need to bring to do all the side quests, and make sure they're all deployed. Feel free to watch ahead on this video as well to know who to bring. The priests each carry some basic healing orbs and other assorted trinkets for protection as necessary for their respective routes. But despite the apparent pressure, this map is technically not timed. The priests have 3 movement due to being clerics, and will occasionally help your army by healing your wounded troops along the escort route. They can even be body blocked and stalled in their path indefinitely if you desire. Moreover, once all 3 priests make it to the end, you can stay on the map for as long as you want before ceasing to end the map on your own terms, which is good. Side objectives in this map will keep popping up as late as turn 20, so definitely stick around to get it all done. We'll divide the paths down to 3 and discuss each separately, starting with the top path, definitely the easiest among the 3. Grimm will take the top path armed with a heal orb. There will be a few archers and thieves hidden in the small forest patches immediately at the start, but otherwise he will have a clear path to the end. The plateau to the right will have 2 archers and a searchable house. 1 archer has poisoned arrows while the other has triple shot. I recommend sending a tanky fighter as well as an arrowband unit to cover for Grimm along the way. If you're poisoned, search the house with Scene or Axel to find an antitoxin to cure it off. The top left cave also has an Eye of Valor that can be searched after a round of combat. The cave will eventually start spitting out archer and axe reinforcements, which may pepper Grimm with a few shots from high ground, but they don't do enough meaningful damage to threaten the priest. Along the way, Grimm will stop by the church and meet Olwen, who will become a playable unit that you can hire later on. To save some time, we will discuss Olwen as a unit in greater detail in a later video. By the nature of the top route being the least busy, your escort force topside can be skimped for a skeletal force. As long as they can control the area around the high ground, nothing bad will happen to Grimm along the route. Next up is the middle route taken by the priest Orbel, a narrow 1-tile path flanked by a hilltop and a lake, ending with shoal tiles that further impede movement. The massive lake in the middle has a shimmering spot which Axel, and only Axel, can reach and search due to his unique ability to swim. He can find a lost mirror to clear a side quest there. This route is mostly swarming with pirates, but they have remarkably low hit rates. From the fort where the treasure may be searched next to the mirror in the lake, many pirate reinforcements will spawn over the course of the map. While they are not necessarily deadly, the extremely constricted terrain here makes fighting aquatic units a chore. Therefore, the most recommended path to take is to have Axel grab the mirror and then sit on the fort in standby. This is his home now, where he will rest and block off reinforcements for the rest of the map. Side note, make sure to grab the mirror first before blocking the fort. In my recording, the mirror appears to despawn after 20 or so turns, which is something I didn't even know could happen. If Axel books it to the lake and then the fort, he should be able to block the reinforcements from there with no more than one pirate spawning. Orbel will stop by a house halfway through his journey and encounter a cutscene. During this scene, he will take a guaranteed 15 damage. This is unavoidable. If Orbel has taken damage beforehand and has less than 15 HP before entering his house, he will die. This is why he starts with a Miracle Charm, a one-use item that can prevent one fatal blow. If this charm is broken before he makes it to the house, ensure he has enough health to survive the ambush. In terms of deployment, ensure that Axel, among everyone else, is sent on this route to protect Orbel. The priest will be relatively unthreatened as long as the fort is blocked. Finally, Saga takes the eastern route, the route with the most side quests. On turn 2, a cutscene will play and 2 enemies will emerge from the eastern house, the Dark Master Chaos, and the race priest named Fermat. Fermat is carrying the Darkmend, a physic orb used by dark mages, and collecting one is required for a side quest given to you by Erzheimer. Much like the bounty targets, this is the introduction to the collector item series of quests. You will need to find 18 items for Erzheimer's collection over the course of the game, and will be paid for turning them in. Most of these items will be dropped by enemies scattered throughout the game, and this is the first one. Along with bounties, the item collector will be a huge chunk of all of our finances for the game, so definitely make our friend happy whenever possible. Fermat himself is relatively easy to kill. You'll be paid the full amount even if you turn in damaged equipment, so the durability on his Darkmend does not matter. Chaos, on the other hand, is lethal. This enemy will be fought in his current state in the final map of the game as one of the final bosses. So as you can imagine, trying to take him out now is virtually impossible, but not completely. While it is theoretically possible to kill Chaos with a disgusting amount of RNG abuse, there is a far easier way to disarm this threat. Faye needs to simply walk up to Chaos and speak with him to trigger a cutscene, upon which she will be gravely injured and be taken out of the map. You must do this before Saga reaches this place where Chaos will be more than happy to rip him to shreds. An alternate scene will play here if Chaos is defeated or if your Faye is dead, and will unlock an additional recruitment method for Volo. You can still recruit Volo purely by happiness without seeing this alternate cutscene. So for the purpose of these videos, we won't go over the details here. Just know that if this cutscene occurs due to Faye's death, Chaos will not stick around on the map and everything progresses as normal. Regardless, Faye will remain out of commission until Saga arrives at this house, at which point you will get her back and she will be given a free Miracle Charm. Faramir will also become a recruitable unit after this event, another unit we'll talk about in a later video for the sake of time. Rodin, an NPC required for a side quest, also resides on this plateau. He has the skill Hide, and will move from tree to tree in this large area, making him very difficult to spot. Fortunately, enemies will never attempt to attack Rodin, so it is a simple matter of tracking him down. Make sure you spot him at some point and have Ward speak to him to complete yet another side quest. The right side will need to play fast to escort Faye to Chaos before Saga can get there, and at least Faye and Ward will need to come to this side for their side quests. Along the way, there is a house you can search with Scene or Axel to pick up a bundle of Bronze Arrows Plus. Make sure to remember this detour at some point, preferably after the map settles down. Finally, all 3 routes converge at the end of the temple, where Agven, the boss of this chapter, will be waiting for you at the temple entrance. Agven has the Battlecry skill, much like Bingrington from chapter 2, and unlike Bingrington, he will actually march out to attack you if you walk into his range. Much like every other instance of dealing with a max-stacked Battlecry unit, defuse this threat by poking him once first, either by landing a melee hit to prevent his counterattack, or shooting him at range. Agven is also one of the 18 bounty targets, so capturing him alive will double your money reward. It's worth noting that Agven's only weapon is a Shamshir, a weapon that is too high ranked for him to use. With a rank difference of 2, he will have a 10% chance of failing to use this weapon in combat and therefore do nothing. This chance is too low to count on it happening reliably, but can occasionally save you in a pinch. Once Agman and the rest of the cronies near the door are taken care of, the priests can be left to slowly wander to the door on their own. At this point, pull all your army and mass them southeast and position Christine to wait in the eastern side of the map. The priests may have made it, but our job is not quite done yet. On turn 14, a bandit will spawn in the southwest and attempt to run east. He is carrying the crafting material Gale Shard. Make sure to intercept him and get the drop. Starting from turn 16, enemies will trickle in from the southeast in 3 waves. These enemies aren't particularly threatening, but at this point your units should be waiting nearby as the priests have completed their walk. Wipe them out as quickly as possible because the true boss of the map is coming in soon. On turn 20, Esteban appears on the eastern side with another enemy archer. Christine can speak to Esteban to complete the final side quest and make him into a recruitable character. Just like with Owen and Faramir, we will save talking about Esteban for a later video, but the true danger of turn 20 will reel its ugly head from the southwest. Garros has arrived. Garros is a bounty target, and if you attempt to check his stats, you'll see that you cannot do so. He has the skill Obfuscate, making it impossible for you to see his stats even in combat unless you're adjacent to him, or in the case of Scene or any other unit with the Watchful skill, be within 3 tiles of him to dispel Obfuscate. He has the counter skill to always hit you back even if you damage him, and is equipped with the deadly Assassin's Knife. This knife has a whopping 80% critical hit rate, and given his ability to always counterattack makes him incredibly lethal to fight. In Berwick Saga, critical hits do not triple your damage, but instead add a random amount of 10 to 20 true damage, which means you cannot avoid this damage by any means. Most units in your army will die in 2 if not 1 hit from Garros. Capturing Garros alive to double your bounty is an incredibly difficult task, and will require quite a bit of luck at this stage in the game. To make matters worse, Garros for the most part isn't interested in fighting, and will instead immediately attempt to flee by running to the bottom right corner of the map. He will only fight you if you're actively body blocking his path. With incredibly high evasion, deadly counterattacks, and the inability to see his stats, killing him is already a tall order, let alone finding the luck required to injure and cripple him. If capturing him proves to be too difficult, at least try for the kill. But in any rate, don't let him walk away without a fight. You can try provoking him onto a cliff to boost your odds of winning, if you brought Albert along. Or just pile him and hope for the best. If you do capture him, the Assassin's Knife he drops can be sold to Erzheimer as well, since this is one of the 18 items he requests. If you cannot get this drop here, don't worry, there will be a much easier opportunity to get one later on. After dispatching Garros, the map is over. Tidy up the rest of the enemies, clean up any search spots, and have Reese seize the temple to end this brutally difficult map. I think we're overdue for another breather, so let's head on into the side maps. See you soon.